In every era of human consciousness, something appears that cannot be explained. It doesn't negotiate, it doesn't soothe, it doesn't fit the categories we know. It simply arrives and everything changes. In 2001, A Space Odyssey, this presence is the monolith. In Barbie, it is Barbie herself, descending like a towering, impossible figure, shattering the old toys that once defined girlhood. Both stories begin the same way, an encounter with an archetype that forces evolution. This is the archetype of revelation, the moment spirit pierces matter, a symbol of pure feminine intelligence, not female, but unconditioned awareness, descending into the human psyche to initiate growth. The psyche evolves only when confronted with something it cannot categorize. This is the feminine principle, the unknown, the void, the new pattern. And it is always met first by the masculine principle, structure, habit, and the need for control, which must adapt or fracture. In 2001, the monolith drops into the world of primitive consciousness. In Barbie, the giant Barbie appears among little girls smashing their baby dolls. These scenes are the same initiation. An old identity collapses. A new form of awareness arrives. The psyche is shocked into expansion. The monolith and the Barbie both operate as feminine catalysts, silent, immovable, unapologetic, carrying a frequency that cannot be ignored. They don't explain themselves, they provoke evolution. These moments symbolize the awakening of the feminine archetype in the collective psyche. The monolith equals pure consciousness. Barbie equals awareness of selfhood. Both represent what Jung called the anima breakthrough, the emergence of intuitive, imaginal, creative intelligence that disrupts stagnant systems. This is not the nurturing feminine. This is the initiatory feminine. Disruptive, catalytic, unbending, revelatory, and sovereign. Psychosocially, these scenes reflect how the feminine identity, personally and culturally, outgrows the roles imposed on it. The smashing of the dolls equals the destruction of inherited expectations for womanhood. The appearance of the catalyst is the psyche being forced into a higher octave. In both films, after the catalytic arrival, consciousness rises into a new era. In 2001, the tool-making masculine mind emerges: logic, structure, reason. In Barbie, Barbie Land represents the perfected surface masculine order applied to the feminine. Everything organized, polished, controlled, understood. But in both stories, a shadow forms. In 2001, it is HAL 9000, intellect cut off from intuition. In Barbie, it is Ken's fragile approval, hungry masculine identity, built entirely on Barbie's attention. Hal is the masculine mind without soul. Ken is the masculine identity without self. Both break down when exposed to truth. The masculine principle here represents order, logic, control, and external identity. The feminine principle represents intuitive intelligence, creativity, depth, and inner reality. Early masculine consciousness creates tools, and Barbie Land creates roles, perfection, and structure. Both are outer forms without inner life. This is a psyche building its first ego, the surface self, which allows survival but not wholeness. Then comes the shadow, Hal, which is the masculine logic without soul. Ken, the masculine identity without self-origin. Both shadows show what happens when the masculine principle loses connection to the feminine, intuition, authenticity, emotion, and depth. Psychologically, this is the disconnection between ego and self. Spirit and matter separate. Identity fragments. The psyche becomes rigid, and the masculine collapses into performance. Hal begins to malfunction. Kin becomes destabilized, reactive, and desperate. Why? Because the new consciousness activated by the monolith, or by Barbie's crisis, cannot coexist with the old psychological architecture. Hal's breakdown is Kin's breakdown, clinging to control, distorting logic, resisting change, refusing self-awareness, collapsing when the external organizing principle disappears. Both symbolize the same initiation. The ego loses control when evolution begins. The breakdown, when the old self meets the new light. Hal malfunctions, Kin destabilizes, the ego loses control when evolution begins. The breakdown is not malfunction, it is initiation. When the feminine principle reawakens in the psyche, the old masculine structure can no longer hold. Hal's breakdown is logic collapsing under the weight of the soul. Kin's breakdown is externally defined masculinity collapsing when it loses the feminine mirror. This is the moment in the psyche when the old identity no longer works. The coping strategies malfunction, the shadow fights back, the ego tries to preserve control, the persona begins to crack. This is a death-rebirth threshold, the ancient alchemical stage called Negredo. The masculine must surrender its illusion of control before the feminine can bring about integration. Dave must turn inward, dismantle Hal, and walk alone into the unknown. In Barbie, Barbie must leave Barbie Land, confront the real world, acknowledge suffering, identity, contradiction, mortality. Both characters take the same step. They stop being the product of their world and become the seeker of truth. They leave the artificial structure, Hal's logic, Barbie Land's perfection, and enter the realm of self-awareness. This is initiation. This is consciousness evolving. This is the transition from persona to authentic self. Both characters step into the unknown, a realm with no script, no validation, no predetermined meaning. That is the feminine realm within the psyche. Intuition, truth, emotional reality, mortality, self-definition, and imagination. The masculine must follow the feminine into this deeper interior world to evolve. Dave enters the cosmic chamber, and Barbie enters the real world. Both symbolize the ego crossing into the unconscious. This is the soul's calling. Come home to yourself. Dave's famous act of unplugging Hal is the death of the rigid masculine ego. Likewise, Barbie tells Kin the truth. Quote, "You have to figure out who you are without me." End quote. That moment is the unplugging of Kin's Hal, the collapse of identity built on external validation. Both scenes express the same psychological truth. No one can ascend while the shadow runs the system. The old self must be disassembled, not destroyed in punishment, but released in evolution. Unplugging Hal is the dismantling of the rigid internal critic, the part of us that asserts control, logic, perfection, and dominance at the expense of the soul. Disarming Kin is liberating the masculine from dependency, the part that seeks approval, identity, and purpose through external feminine reflection. This is not about punishment, it is integration. The feminine awakens the masculine, and the masculine stabilizes the feminine. but only after both release illusion. This is the union of spirit and matter in the psyche, the intuitive and the logical learning to co-create. Dave passes through the cosmic gateway and becomes the star child, an integrated being, reborn. Barbie chooses embodiment, not perfection, not plastic immortality, but the complexity of being human. Her final line is the entire initiation condensed. Quote, "I want to be the one imagining, not the idea." End quote. This is the feminine contemplating her evolution in the same way the masculine completes his. Autonomy, consciousness, self-definition, integration of shadow, unity of intuition and intellect, and the end of being an object, symbol, or tool. Dave becomes a cosmic child, and Barbie becomes a human woman. Both transcend the worlds that created them. Dave's rebirth is the masculine principle achieving higher mind, a consciousness freed from rigidity. And Barbie's embodiment is the feminine principle choosing form, choosing incarnation, humanness, and depth. Together they complete the cycle. Spirit descends into matter, and matter rises into spirit. This is individuation, the birth of the self. Barbie says, "I want to be the one imagining," and Dave becomes the one reborn into cosmic imagination. Both reclaim authorship of their existence. Both choose selfhood over programming, and both become whole. 2001 tells the masculine story of evolution, as does Barbie, as the feminine story. Both together they reveal something larger. Every psyche contains both initiations. We all meet the monolith, the moment something arrives that cracks our old identity. We all meet Hal, the part of us that resists change. And we all meet Ken, the part of us that seeks validation instead of selfhood. We all must unplug the outdated logic, step beyond familiar systems, and choose our evolution consciously. And ultimately, we all become the star child. We become the one imagining and the one who crosses the threshold into integrated awareness. This is the true initiation. Masculine and feminine consciousness evolving together, each story reflecting the other, each awakening completing the whole. The monolith is your intuition, and Barbie is your awakening. Hal is your outdated logic. Ken is your unhealed masculinity, and Dave is the seeker. Barbie is the self, and the star child is your rebirth. This is the architecture of consciousness in a human blueprint. Every human psyche is a marriage of masculine and feminine. Masculine being the structure, clarity, logic, ego, and action, and feminine being the intuition, depth, creativity, soul, and receptivity. When one dominates the other, the system collapses. When both evolve together, we become whole. This is not gendered, it is archetypal. It is the blueprint of all human evolution. Personal, relational, and collective. If today's archetypal mapping through mythic echoes found in media activated something within you, then you're already resonating with the frequency we hold inside Mothership Lexodus. This is an ongoing creative psychosocial experiment, a place for artists, healers, visionaries, and the curious, anyone navigating their own evolution and wanting language, structure, and mythic context for what they feel rising inside of them. If you want more transmissions like this, then please consider subscribing to the Mothership Lexodus. If you're looking for deeper community where ideas cross-pollinate and creative processes are supported in real time, you can join the Mothership Lexodus Discord, a collaborative garden for creatives, metaphysical explorers, healing practitioners, and anyone rebuilding themselves from the inside out. Your evolution doesn't have to be solitary. The mothership is here when you're ready to board. And for those who feel called into deeper meta mentorship, personalized guidance, symbolic decoding, or creative consciousness consulting, you can email me directly using the link in my bio. This is a Mothership Lexodus transmission.